I'm Heidi Jakas. This is your regular installment of Week in One. Lowering Caster Semenya's testosterone levels could have harmful effects. That's the warning from a specialist doctor. The court's ruling on the IAAF's new regulations means she will now have to reduce her hormones artificially in order to compete. But doctors say this could lead to increased risk of hypertension, diabetes and cholesterol problems, among other health issues. They remain uncertain as most existing studies have focused on males. ENCA's Yanka Tolme has more.
A star athlete and inspiration to many. But the future of the double Olympic champion is now unclear. Due to new regulations, she'll have to lower her testosterone level if she wants to compete in her preferred events. This can be done in different ways depending on how much of the hormone she has. But changing these naturally occurring levels of testosterone could have a negative effect, not only on her career, but her body as well.
I've got no doubt it is going to affect her as an athlete, but definitely we know there are some symptoms associated with testosterone being dropped from wherever it was naturally. This is not somebody who's abused testosterone.
The negative impact of lowering testosterone levels in men has been widely tested, but this is not the case for women.
It's very strange that you ask the medical fraternity to be the individual that needs to be doing this for these sporting clients. And it's difficult to do that without mentioning to them that there is possibility of harm. And does any doctor want to do harm? No, especially because we're going in unknown territory.
Semenya's legal team is now considering appealing the ruling. In the meantime, she's being asked to either risk her health or give up her passion. Yanka Tolme, Johannesburg.
Meanwhile, there's been a social media frenzy since the Caster Semenya decision. Users across the globe have voiced their support of the athlete. Tanya Neft takes a look.
The ink has not even dried on the ruling by the IAAF, forcing female athletes to regulate their testosterone levels, and social media timelines have already been filled with outrage and support. Caster Semenya herself posted this on Twitter just hours ago. It reads, "Knowing when to walk away is wisdom. Being able to is courage. Walking away with your head held high is dignity." The hashtag #HandsOffCaster was also quickly revived as social media users posted their reactions to the decision. At the same time, her peers in the sporting fraternity added to the fray. Former Olympic sprinter Michael Johnson was very measured in this response.
It was always going to be a very difficult situation because, through no fault of her own, she just happens to have this condition. Either she'll have to make a decision to either start taking the medication to reduce her testosterone levels or not be allowed to compete.
Meanwhile, former rival Mandela, who raced against Semenya in the 2009 World Champs in Berlin, says while she was, quote, sore about losing to Caster Semenya, this decision against her is wrong, unquote. Semenya still has 1 month to lodge an appeal to this ruling. Whether the opinion of others will help her cause remains to be seen. Tanya Neft, Cape Town.
There's no outcome yet in the court bid to have the display of the old South African flag restricted. The Nelson Mandela Foundation has asked the court to declare the gratuitous display of the flag, even in homes, as hate speech, unfair discrimination and harassment. This means the flag would only be seen in places like museums and history books. But lobby group AfriForum, who is opposing the application, is worried that private bans could set a dangerous precedent. Mia Spies has more.
The Nelson Mandela Foundation says this flag has the capacity to cause offence and emotional distress and should only be displayed in journalistic, academic and artistic contexts.
We have asked that the court make a declaratory order that the gratuitous display of the flag can lead to harassment, and therefore it should not be displayed in marches, including in homes where it has the potential to have interaction with people who will be reminded of the suffering they went through.
The ANC agrees.
A home is a foundation for a broader society. Now, if it's allowed in a home, it's also wrong. Because if I visit you and find this flag, how should I feel?
AfriForum is opposing the application. It claims a ban would infringe on freedom of speech. The organization is also worried about a prohibition in private homes.
Someone could turn out and say, well, I spotted this little flag in your house and you are guilty of hate speech. And in days to come, hate speech will be a criminal offense in our country. So it creates a very, very difficult and a dangerous precedent that we need to avoid.
Judgment on the future of the old flag has been reserved. Mia Spies, Johannesburg.
State Security Minister Dipuo Letsatsi Duba says she's yet to see Ace Magashule's phone tapping allegation complaints on her desk. The minister says the onus is on Magashule to approach the department and not the other way around. ANC head of elections, Fikile Mbalula, has also weighed in, warning Magashule against baseless allegations. Samkele Maseko filed this report.
We haven't interacted with SG since his pronouncement about being so we are still waiting for him to officially come to us to say, I have a problem, I have a challenge in regarding to my me being personally surveilled. So we cannot go to him, but it's him who should come to us to report the matter so that we can take it further.
The State Security Minister is seemingly not taking ANC Secretary General Ace Magashule's phone tapping allegation too seriously. Magashule's non-existent official complaint seems to be worrying the spy boss minister. She says it's concerning that the allegations arise just as they're restructuring state security. The ANC's head of elections says party leaders should not be reckless and bandy about wild allegations.
To make an allegation all the time that the state is being used, you've got to back it up with empirical evidence and not just being reckless, because you undermine the rule of law and then you undermine the authority of the state organs. So if Mbalula were to make an allegation that my phone is tapped and is tapped by the state, I must be able, before I open my mouth and say to the public I'm tapped, I've got evidence that points to the effect that the state is following me.
Mbalula adds that it's unfortunate that Magashule raised these issues in public before speaking to the ANC leadership. But the embattled ANC Secretary General maintains his phone is bugged.
Well, Zizi Kwatwa, and I haven't heard you focusing on Comrade Zizi Kwatwa, he reported, and it was all out in the media, that his phone has been bugged. I've said whatever I have said, and but we agree as the ANC, the focus now is elections. We shouldn't be distracted by many other things and stories. So we are focusing on elections. I've reported to the Inspector General this matter.
Magashule is also unfazed by the DA's plans to hand over evidence of his wrongdoing to the NPA. Samkele Maseko, Pretoria.
Stay tuned to Week in One as we bring you the details on the state of readiness by the IEC.